and someday I'll get good at giving proper introductions to my guests. But let me let you give us a little background on like even just how you got into photography. What was your first wedding shoot like? Like, do you have any flops you could tell us about?
Yeah, so I started. I feel like every time I tell this story, this number becomes like exponentially larger.
Sure.
But I started like 15 years ago. My now wife, then just friend, her boss was getting married. She just worked at like a retail store, and her boss was like, "Listen, I don't have any money, but you guys seem artsy. If I pay for the film, will you just shoot my wedding?" And I was like, "Sure."
Perfect.
Which is really, you'll start to notice a trend of naively thinking I can just do it. It's been a recurring theme in my life. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And so it went great. There was like a beautiful couple. It was outdoors. There was like goats. It was beautiful weather. Everything was perfect. And so the photos turned out pretty well, and she was really happy with them. And I thought, I should do this. I could make a living out of this. And so then I booked another one like 6 months later, and it went horrible,
Nice.
because now it was indoors, and I was like, oh, I suddenly don't know how to shoot indoors. That's an entirely different experience.
Whoops.
And it was like I didn't understand the cameras. I was way out of my league, and it just by the end I just gave them all the negatives like 3 months later, and I was like, I'm done. I'm sorry, I can't. I was the wrong person for this job. So after
Did they pay you for that one?
I mean, they did, but I lost quite a bit of money because
Yeah.
I shot so much film
And it was
that
all
I ended up.
film.
Yeah, it was all film. My first couple were all film, because I mean, A, it was 15 years ago, and B, when you don't know anything about photography, film is much easier because you can just put it on auto and someone else will develop it and they give you a print. Like, you don't have to do much. You just have to press the shutter. So after the first two, I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll give it a rest for a while. And then I sort of just went into other avenues of life, and went to college, and I ended up working at a newspaper as a photographer. And that was a super, super big learning experience for me, and kind of falling in love with the process of capturing real moments and trying to sort of figure out what makes a moment interesting photogenically. And it was just this incredible learning experience of figuring out how to connect with people and how to build trust with people. And by the time I left there, I felt like, okay, well, now I can do this. And so I started kind of dipping my toes back in, and it was now suddenly a little easier. And I had been in really intense situations where, when photojournalism, you have to just be able to shoot in the moment and know that you're getting it. And that sort of intense learning experience was very beneficial for me. And so eventually I started doing more and more weddings, and it kind of just became like this much easier transition. So I started a long time ago, quit for a while, and then came back to it with much more knowledge.